Hello and welcome back to my video. It's been a while because after my previous video where I've posted me reading my short story, I seem to have gone into like a down mode. There's been a lot of anxiety, there's been a lot of fear, and I was going through, before making the video today, I was going through my journal because last time was the 15th of February when I did my previous video. Uh, Basically, there is like a constant feeling of being transparent. If I go back and read my journal, so I go from using the word transparent and especially invisible. I am invisible, I feel pathetic, and I am invisible. And I've been working a lot with this sense of identity from Erickson, especially with also with my clients. So it seems that my development and working on myself actually was like going on parallel with my client, which is nothing to, yeah, I mean, it's like absolutely normal. Um, and what I wrote, for example, here in my journal is no emails about my short story, because I've sent my short story to some friends, etc., just to read it and let me know what they thought, how the English was, if there was anything that needed to be changed, etc. I got not one email back, and thought, oh, I'm invisible, I feel like a crystal, transparent, water, cold, fresh, ice, glass, diamond, diamond, cat, glass, not seen, not acknowledged, and then invisible, invisible again. I've got to say that besides being invisible, I have especially been dreaming a lot. I've been dreaming weird stuff. All my dreams were about journey, about traveling, not traveling by myself. My mother, who passed away in March of 2009, she was in my dreams like if she was deciding and ruling where we had to go, what we had to do, who we have to meet, or who we talk to. So there was a lot of my mom in my dreams. There was a lot of traveling and a lot of my mom. Um, and of course that ties perfectly in with the anxiety and with the journaling and with the 84 days of the artist way. One thing that I was reading that was really intriguing was that every time you would say to somebody that you are, there was this parallel, and I don't know if that was Stephen King who said it. If you are, I don't know, somebody who runs for a hobby, and you are asking them, and they tell you that they run, you don't ask them what kind of races they've won, how many awards they have because of their running. But if you tell anybody that you are a writer, the first thing they say is, have you published something? So there is this fact of the dichotomy that if you're a writer, you have to be a published writer, you have to be and they have to have a name, I have to be very well renowned. I've been out one evening. I haven't been out in, I believe, I don't know, good 4 years, proper out, as in proper out, dancing, clubbing, etc. Went out one night, and it was like a very strange experience. There were some very weird people, and it was intimidating. At a certain point, I didn't feel comfortable with this, with music was too loud and you couldn't actually talk, and so it was like an experience like and that made me think about also about Oscar Wilde, because there was a lot of women with lots of makeup on, and sort of like dressed as, I call them the plastic Barbie women kind of thing. They were like all perfect and very fake to me in my especially in my line of work. I mean, or the kind of people that I would go out normally that are somehow raw and more real, and made me think about Oscar Wilde said, "Give a man a mask, and the man will show their true self." Um, and I don't know where that came about, the fact of actually wearing a mask, and I don't know. So one thing that I've noticed while I was going through my journal was that actually I didn't read Julia's Cameron book for the past 2 weeks. I just went on doing my journaling, but I was so engrossed in my own anxiety and in my own fear they actually didn't do any of the exercises, and I just didn't read the book, and I just went on with my day. I woke up every morning, grabbing my coffee. This place is really my writing place. In the morning I'm here with the cat and my cup of coffee, and I'm writing my journal for at least a half an hour every morning, which seems to be extremely important and very grounding. And so I went through the book, and I said, before doing this video, I'm going to go through the book and see what the book is saying. If there is anything I can say. Weird enough, everything that happened to me about the anxiety, the dreaming, the moodiness, the scratching like against stones, like a snake who wants to change its skin. This is exactly what was happening to me, which not only that, there was still this idea in my journaling about the fact of feeling invisible, and I wrote about the invisible bone. I am invisible. I like this idea of the invisible bone, and then it connected with Tracy Emin's and her bed, the fact that actually you have the bed and you have the situation, but actually you don't have the artist, you don't have the person who has slept on that bed. And who is the person who has slept in the bed? It could be any one of us, or we are the second, the sparing part, the partner of the person actually sleeping, or who owns actually the bed. So that moved a lot in me, thoughts about shame, the fact of acknowledgement as an author, or acknowledgement as a writer, or acknowledgement as a therapist, which is so different from the acknowledgement from the shame of family, the shame of parents. And is it bad? Is it good to actually desire to be seen, to be acknowledged as a human being, and for not only for who you are, but also for what you do, which makes up who you are. And there was again this concept about the shame from the family, and being connected always the daughter of either my dad as an army member, or the daughter of, or the granddaughter of somebody else. So you are your granddaughter's, your nana's granddaughter, so you should behave in a certain way. And the fact that, of course, a lot of times this is connected also with the language. In English we would say shame on you, as in like the shame generically is put on you. In Italy and in my language, you would even get to the point of saying you put the shame on your own self, by yourself, which is like, even not only I might feel ashamed, but I'm also doing this shame work on myself, by myself, without anybody else. So linguistically, this is also important, because of course, if I've got to remember our conversations when I was a child, there was a lot of shame involved. And the fact that I'm writing, and I'm using experiences from my house, and the fact that of the exhibiting or showing my pictures, where there is of course alcohol involved. If I'm coming from a family where there was alcohol addiction, am I bringing out the shame of my family? Never felt that. And then I actually thought, you know what, I can understand my dad not seeing my exhibitions, because unfortunately my dad passed away before I started taking pictures, which that was a real shame. But I don't actually think that my mother ever came to see any one of my exhibitions. That was something that actually made me feel a bit whoa. And then again, I was writing about this creativity, spirituality, the quest for knowledge, and at the same time, even though I'm still feeling invisible in an unknown land. And is this land unknown because I'm moving, I'm changing, and I'm on a journey? My subconscious and my unconscious are telling me this through my dreams, that I'm on a journey, even more so. But then reading through Julia's book, I've recognized how during these weeks, these past weeks, of course, beside the anxiety and besides this concept of shame, there was also the concept of changing and the concept of trying to find your own sense of identity and your own nest. And weird enough, I've done this studio. The page, I think that was page 89 in the book, making a space for you. And I wrote it with this book, like, it's like mind reading, because it knows me so well. It is the fact that, of course, the book follows probably some psychological patterns which are so obvious that the moment that you are somehow losing yourself or you losing the old self, you need to create a newer self. And I got rid of two objects. One, I wasn't very attached to it, but the other one was an object I've been very, very attached because it's been given to me as a present from my ex-partner, and I thought it was a time to go because I don't need it, and it was a time to go. So it was like out with the old and in with the new. And that was really so, especially because I thought I was like losing the plot at a certain point because I was just so anxious. I had this constant sense of anxiety. And then I'm going reading the book, and the book tells me, no, hold on a second, it's okay for you to feel anxiety. You're going to feel anxious, you're going to have this, you're going to have lots of weird dreams, you're going to feel angry, loads of anger coming out, and you're going to check stuff out, you're going to have new stuff coming in, and you're going to create new stuff for yourself. And I thought, okay, so I'm on the right path. Still though, what I've felt constantly this sense of fear, anxiety and fear, like it was like a fear of death. And I was wondering if that has been brought up by the funeral of my client, the fact that I've been dreaming about my mother so much, the fact that, I don't know, that me changing, and I did suffer from panic attacks and massive fear. I mean, I've lost part of my memory, etc. when I was 21. I'm talking about August 1988. So I was scared of actually losing the plot and going back to 1988, in which, you know, I'm not saying that I've been locked in a room for about a year, and but I was really, really bad. I had this massive anxiety, this sense of claustrophobia, and which left me somehow scarred. So I was wondering if that was that. So I thought, you know what, now with a different sort of different perspective, I can actually go and look what this fear of death is all about. And I've actually discovered from a Freudian perspective that the fear of death, thanatophobia from the god Thanatos, doesn't actually exist as such. What we call fear of death, it's not actually fear of death as such, because we can only be scared of what we have experienced, and we haven't experienced our own death. So what we call a fear of death is not a fear of death as such. Sorry, I know that I might look tired, but I'm actually am tired. It's Friday, it's been a very intense week. The fear of death, as I was saying, doesn't exist as such because we haven't experienced our own death. We think it is fear of death, something that instead is fear of hospital, fear of pain, fear of unknown, so anyway, still very existential, and the fear of abandonment most of the time. So not fear of death as such. It is also true that when somebody dies very close to us, we do cry, but we cry for ourselves most of the times. We don't cry for the other person. We cry because we are left alone. We cry because we are wondering what is going to happen to us. How can I make it without him? How can I do it, work, money, financially, organizational, love, emotional, whatever it is, without the person? I am nothing without the other person. The other person leaves me, hence I am scared. But I'm not scared of death as such. Because we haven't experienced death, Freud even gets to the point of saying that actually our subconscious and unconscious believes that we are immortal, because, as I said, we haven't experienced death, as in our own death. Um, True is that I went and did a sort of a, I don't know if you can actually see it very quickly here. It's sort of a very quick exercise about sort of like a lifeline um, from when I was born in 1967, and I started, of course, in 1968 when I was years old, up to the 1988 when I had a massive panic attack. So we are talking about 20 years of my life, and how many deaths have happened in my life. So starting from, I don't know, between 1971, 74, I would say that I've lost both my dad's grandmother, my dad's mother and my mother's dad. And I have also lost my mother's brother, who was allegedly, we don't know, and to be honest, nobody knows. He was very possibly an heroin addict, and definitely bipolar, if not even something worse than that, by the description that's been done until my mother died. I mean, my mother died in 2009. All in this in between, my mother had an abortion when I was about three and a half, a planned abortion, because she was taking a lot of antidepressants at the time and medication because of her alcohol problems, and at the time God only knows what they were given. So there was a planned abortion, and then in the end my sister was born in 1976. Of course, there was the earthquake, so we have lost a lot, and I've lost basically all my friends because that night I wasn't there. So that was a big blow. And it would be nice when I have time, and it would be nice to find like an existential therapist to actually go. I'm not saying in therapy for a whole year, but it would be nice to explore the post-traumatic stress effects of its earthquake that I experienced at the age of 8. And weird enough, Julia Cameron asks to do some exercises about what happened to us at the age of 8. And the age of 8 is so important because they say that if you, in your very first formative years, or the first 7 years, you've got somebody who's supportive to you, you can still make it in your life. And the age of 8 is such like a threshold emotionally and as a development. And then I remember having 2 panic attacks when I was very young. One, we had to call a doctor. It was summer. I was in my grandma's house for a holiday, and we had to call a doctor. And I remember that they gave me some sort of like tablets, which like red and sphere, that I had to take. And the other one was a Sunday. We were driving up to the mountains, and we had to stop at a chemist and have my pulse, blood pressure, and everything taken, because I was really depressed, and especially I was extremely tense and extremely fragile and extremely anxious. And weird enough, those 2 events, I had totally forgotten about it. So when I'm saying that I had a massive panic attack at the age of 20, the very first one actually was about the age of 10, 12, 13. And if you think that the earthquake was at the age of 8, probably those are all results of the earthquake experience. 1981, I had a horrible flight. I remember we almost had a plane crash with a 747 in Bahrain, and I remember that everybody was laughing. I wasn't laughing. I was laughing at all. That gave me a sense of sort of like claustrophobia. I think that was 1982. One of the beautiful guys of the village actually died, and we didn't know. He had one of the very first heart transplants in Italy, which unfortunately didn't work out. But there was a lot of talking, a lot of tears, a lot of gossiping, a lot of magazines, like nationwide magazines talking about him, and there was this picture about him, and it was me. Still in my very formative years, with looking at the picture of this absolutely gorgeous and wonderful guy, and I don't remember his name. How sad is that? But I remember he was one of the cool guys, kind of thing, that we as little teenagers we were like looking up to. In 1983, I had an operation. I think I can talk clearly about that. Basically, they found I had two massive ovaric cysts, and they found like they're called like germ or something. This was like cells of a twin brother, basically, in me. And that was in 1983, I think, or 1984. I had from September 1985 to March 1987. I had like a great year and a half. I wasn't living at home at the time. I moved away from the situation. I moved away from the family, and I started breathing basically. The issue was then I started feeling very anxious with panic attacks, anxiety. I had a lot of like paranoia attacks. I had very strong, vivid images of death in front of me. Just before I had to go back to Italy and back, of course, home. Once home from June 1987. Basically, I lasted half sane. From June 1987 till August 1988, when on the 15th of August at about 10:30 in the morning I had a massive panic attack, of which I don't remember much, because I remember just waking up in a hospital and then being very self-conscious, very self-centered, very loads of tunnel vision, basically even almost not even breathing. For the following year. It was really bad. So I think that all of these, the fact that what I'm going back now in my development is fear of death. I think that for me, for the experience that I had in the very first 20 years of my life, and don't forget that I'm 50 now, it is like a default situation in which my brain goes onto death. I'm aware of the time, so I'm gonna make it very, very quick. Yes, so it's been a weird week last week. This week, even though I'm gonna make another video later on about, of course, how this week is. Somebody scratching at the door, poor thing. It is a week on the up. So if you're feeling being affected by this video, don't forget that was last week. But it's been nice actually to go back and to understand where I am now, because of actually where I have been. This week 6 is the week of abundance, and I had another couple of contacts for some extra work in a different place. I had I had some other ideas about something else. I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna leave you with the artist prayer, which I changed a bit and wrote. So bear with me. And this is my version of the artist prayer. So, no, I really need to put my glasses on. I thought I could do. Yeah, I can't. All-encompassing universe, creator of all creators, I am here in your name to be of service. I offer myself as an instrument. I am open to your creativity in my life. I surrender my old self and my old ideas, and I welcome new and more creative ideas. I trust that you will lead me, support me, care for me. Creativity is my nature. You are in me, and I am in you. I ask you to unfold my life according to creativity, your plans, and not my low self-worth. Help me to believe that it's not too late, and that I'm not too small or too flawed or invisible to be healed. Help me in loving, nurturing, encouraging the self and others. Help me to create as an act of worship you all-encompassing, self-actualizing, creative, thriving, joyful, loving, and abundant universe. So help me not to be scared. Yeah. So this is it. New journal. This is the third one now. Because all my other journals I've now finished. Fill them in. Oh, I still have got my chunky one for a bit of more artistic things. And I was hoping to put some more stuff in so then I can take a nice video, because it has been requested and I haven't done it yet. I'm so really very sorry. Thank you for everybody. Thank you all, because this journey is not possible really without your help and support. Thank you to everyone who watched the video. I don't know who you are. Sometimes I see like 25 people that watch my videos, which to me is like, whoa, already more than enough. I know I've got a faithful follower, and I'm so thankful and so grateful to just find her messages and tests. I mean, really, I'm doing the videos and I'm thinking, what would she think? What is she doing? Is she still writing? Is she still doing her morning pages? Next week, it's going to be on the up, because we're going to be talking about abundance. And I can tell you, if a project that I've been developing with somebody else, always it's got to do, of course, with therapy, etc., is going to go on. And I can also update you on my writing process, because I have, I think, finished good 3 short stories. I've got to still edit another 3 and double check some of the grammar in English in my poetry. And then I want to publish that one and to go out end of May, when I'm going to be on a holiday, because I've also booked myself a week of holiday. Anyway, this is it. That's me done. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you soon. Ciao.